Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of the Take Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, and of course, and in today's episode, we've got a lot of sports to unpack here. We're going to be talking about four sports: NFL, basketball, NBA, of course, and then MLB news, and then also some boxing news as well. So let's get right into some NFL stuff here. Obviously, last night, the Bengals and Ravens faced off on Thursday Night Football, and there were a lot of injuries in that game. I mean, Mark Andrews is out for the season. That is a ginormous blow to the Super Bowl hopes for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, all the hopes of Baltimore making it to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, just all went out the window with Mark Andrews getting hurt last night. And then the other side for the Bengals, you got Joe Burrow, who literally had a wrist injury going into the game. He was wearing some kind of device on his wrist after getting off the plane. And you're like, okay, like what's going on here? And apparently the NFL is investigating that, by the way, which is, we'll see what turns up on that. I mean, I don't know how the NFL is going to handle that, because at the end of the day, when it comes to Joe Burrow and when it comes to players playing through injury, of course they want to play through injury. But if you're Joe Burrow, like, he's going to want to play either way, and you're going to want to play. That's when the head coaches come in and are like, okay, like, you can't play. Like, you're obviously not 100% healthy. And then he got hurt. He threw a touchdown pass to Joe Mixon, which, by the way, he got me a fantasy point. I don't care. But Joe Burrow literally knew immediately. And he's on the sideline trying to throw the ball. The ball just dropped out of his hand. So that's when you know something was wrong. And then after that, I think personally, the Bengals losing that game, dropping to 5-5 in an AFC North race that's so tight. I mean, you got the Ravens that are 8-3, the Browns are 6-3, and the Steelers are 6-3. I think the Bengals playoff hopes is out the window. And the AFC in general is just so incredibly stacked. I mean, you've got 11 teams at 500 or above 500 in that conference. Like, I don't think we've seen an AFC team like that in a long time. Like, I don't think we've ever seen that in the history of football. An AFC look this ridiculously stacked. Like, when it comes to Super Bowl predictions, excuse me, I have no idea. I have no idea who's coming out of there. No idea. I'm like, bro, like, it's gonna be tough for any, like the Bills. I don't know if the Bills are gonna make the playoffs. I just mentioned the Bengals. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Now the Texans, I think they're gonna sneak in there. And if CJ Stroud continues to play the way he's playing, I think the man can win MVP. If they win that division, they beat Jacksonville the next time around they play them, there's no reason for me not to sit here and be like, okay, CJ Stroud can be the first rookie MVP since 57 when Jim Brown won it. I mean, I think that's a very realistic expectation for him. And yeah, everyone's saying, oh, he's a rookie, he can't win it. Bro, Mans is playing quarterback better than anybody right now in the NFL. Like, if you watch him play, I mean, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like, bro, that's incredible. That's incredible. And he doesn't really have that many weapons. He's got Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz. Tank Dell, those guys are nice, but they're not like, you know, all pro receivers, one of the best receivers in the league, like an A.J. Brown or something like that. Like, C.J. Stroud's coming in, and he's making the Panthers regret not taking him first overall. That is for sure right there. But enough AFC talk. Let's go to the NFC. Now, the NFC, there's about 4 contenders in my eyes. You got San Francisco, you got the Eagles, you got my Dallas Cowboys, of course, and then you got the Detroit Lions. Now, I think the Vikings are starting to sneak in there a little bit. They're starting to play really good football. They got a lot of momentum after losing Kirk Cousins to that crazy Achilles injury. They got Josh Dobbs from the Cardinals, who's been on like 3 teams this year. I mean, that's a great story. And I want to see the Vikings do well. They're surprising a lot of people right now. They've won 2 games since Kirk has been gone. So, I mean, the NFC, it's obviously going to come down to the Eagles, 49ers, or Cowboys. Now, when it comes to the Cowboys, my Cowboys, I'll talk about them just for a second. I mean, Dak Prescott these last 2 weeks, I mean, he's been playing unbelievable football. I mean, he's been throwing for, I mean, against the Eagles, he threw for like, I think it was like 370 something, 372, I think. And then last week he threw for like 400 yards against the Giants, which I mean, you should do that against the Giants. But Dak Prescott, he's playing smart football right now. He's doing everything he needs to do for our team to be in positions to win. CeeDee Lamb is playing like a top 5 receiver right now. But it's just hard to say when you got the 49ers who didn't have Randy Gregory, didn't have Chase Young last when we played them, and literally the Cowboys lost by 32 points. So you're just looking at it like, okay, like what's really going on here? The Eagles, they play the Chiefs on Monday night. That is going to be a classic. That is going to be a banger game. And right now, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the Chiefs. I wasn't going to do predictions this podcast, but I think the Eagles are going to go into Arrowhead, win that game. I think Jalen Hurts is going to show how good of a quarterback he really is and how much that Super Bowl loss last year is really hurting him. Like, especially with Jason Kelce, too. I think that tush push is the most unstoppable play in football. I mean, there's literally nothing you can do with that. Like, teams can try to execute that the same way the Eagles can, but you're just not going to. So that's gonna be a great game, Super Bowl rematch. Expect a good one, but I think the Eagles are gonna come out on top. As much as that pains me to say, because I'm a Cowboys fan, but you got to give it to them. I mean, they find out a way to win. So enough NFL talk for now. Let's go ahead and go into the NBA real quickly. We're gonna talk about James Harden real quick. The Clippers have not won a game with James Harden since trading for him, which honestly doesn't surprise me because James Harden is not a team player. He thinks he wants to be the man, but he's not good enough to be the man, and he's too old to be the man. He doesn't understand his role. Like, when he comes to the Clippers, how does Russell Westbrook, who was playing great basketball before you came there, playing bad now? Like, James Harden just doesn't, he's just toxic. And he's a jinx. Every franchise he goes to, it doesn't matter how good or bad the situation is, you know he's not going to win. And like the Clippers, for me, like they got Russell Westbrook, they got Kawhi Leonard, they got Paul George, and then James Harden. Those are 4 very ball-dominant players. Like, you're telling me that they're going to go win a championship? Yes, they can on paper. But when it comes to putting it together on the floor, I mean, James Harden's just not bought in. I mean, he's trying to be the guy who was in Houston averaging 36. And he's just not that guy anymore. He's more of a playmaker, dishing assists. Like, he's not the primary scorer. And I don't think he gets that. And that's the thing that's frustrating about James Harden. Like, look at the Sixers right now. They traded away James Harden. They're doing better without him. Like, and Tyrese Maxey is averaging 28 points a game. He is thriving. He is thriving. He had 50 the other day. He had 50 points the other day. Like, he was doing way better. Like, that team, you could just tell that James Harden he's toxic. He's toxic. And that's why the Clippers aren't winning. That's why they haven't won a game with him. So, speaking of teams who are winning a game, though, my Miami Heat. Let's go. Heat culture. First of all, those Heat culture jerseys are sick, by the way. But after starting 1-4 on the season, my Miami Heat are now 7-4. And we've won, 8-4 after last night's win against the Brooklyn Nets. We're on a 7-game winning streak for the first time since the 2017-2018 season. Jimmy Butler had 36 points last night. Jimmy Butler started off slow. He was averaging 15 points a game in October, but now he's averaging 23 points a game in November. I'm very pleased. Tyler Hero is averaging 20. Bam's averaging 20. I mean, we've got 3 guys that are averaging 20 points. Kevin Love's coming in there. He's making contributions. Caleb Martin, he's making contributions. Like, I know everyone wants to say the Heat don't have a chance, but I think we still have a chance to be in the not in the playoff picture, in the NBA title picture. Like, we have a shot, legit. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past us that we can get it done. Like, I think we can get it done. It's just a matter of, do we have enough superstar talent, which that we'll see. I mean, someone's going to step up. Someone's going to step up in Heat Nation. Someone's going to step up. Someone always steps up in Heat culture. Eric Spoelstra always gets some guy to step up. It always happens that way. So I'm happy the way we're playing. We play the Bulls Saturday. Hopefully you can win that game as well and extend our streak to 8. But one more thing. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I'm going to. Anthony Davis, man. Anthony Davis, in the last game against the Kings, he had 9 points. And LeBron James had a 28-point triple-double. Like, bro, why are the Lakers paying Anthony Davis $40 million a year for him to just suck and not even look like he's out there trying. Like when he's playing now, it looks like he just doesn't even care. Like it's just like, bro, like what are you doing? Like I don't get what Anthony Davis, like he's just wasting his talent. Like you have LeBron James, which I said this at the beginning of the season on this podcast. I said LeBron James cannot be the leading scorer if the Lakers want to have a chance to win, because LeBron James is 38 years old. I've said this time and time again. Anthony Davis is 30 years old. He is in the prime of his career. He should be carrying this team. Well, actually, take that back. Not carrying, but he should be the leading scorer and he should be the focal point of this offense. It's so annoying. And I know Lakers fans out there are probably more annoyed about that than I am, but I mean, he doesn't deserve max dollars. It's plain and simple. So let's go ahead and get into boxing real quick. We're going to talk a little bit of boxing. Last night, Shakur Stevenson won his fight. He became the WBC lightweight champion. Congrats. But Terrence Crawford was stripped of his IBF belt because here's the reasoning. So he fought Errol Spence in July, right? He fought Errol Spence. He had a rematch clause in that contract. And then apparently the IBF wanted him to defend in August against Jaron Ennis. Now, I don't know why the IBF wanted him to defend literally a month after he just fought. But so they stripped the belt because he didn't defend and he didn't do what they asked him to. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand boxing. It really doesn't make sense right now. And the thing is, like, Crawford wasn't even given an option. So apparently, like, the rematch clause that's in the contract for Errol Spence and Crawford, the IBF does not recognize rematch clauses. So they just said, that doesn't matter. You got to fight Jaron Ennis. So they stripped the belt from Terrence Crawford, and now Jaron Ennis is the IBF champion, which it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. I get it. You have to have mandatory defenses at times, but Crawford just fought and he had a rematch clause. So I think that's a little bit of a different situation. And he just became undisputed champ. And then you're stripping it from him literally a month, literally a couple months after he got it. I mean, bro, I don't really get that. It just makes, like, boxing right now is just, like, I heard Showtime's going out of business. They're losing a lot of money right now. And the reason for that is because these pay-per-views are like $84. Like, who's going to pay $84 for a pay-per-view? Like, I mean, I wouldn't even pay like $40 for a pay-per-view. Like, I get it. Like, boxing, it's boxing. I get it. You pay-per-view. But, like, at the same time, like, you got to make the prices a little more affordable for other people, because if you make it $84, and by the way, $84 wasn't even a pay-per-view price when Mike Tyson was fighting back in the 90s. That wasn't even the price then. So, like, I don't know. I mean, if you're a big name in boxing, I get it. But, like, I was talking to one of my friends about this yesterday, and I think if boxing were to do a format of, okay, you can buy the main event for like $15, $20, and then you can buy the rest of the fights individually. Like, you can buy the main event for $20 and then buy the individual fights. Like, I feel like boxing would make more money off that, because I think more people would pay for $20 to watch a fight than $84. They would get out of these money holes that they're currently in. And the problem is also with boxing, they're too concerned about making money. I get it. You want to make money, but I feel like if you get too concerned about making money, you're not going to make money. If that becomes your top priority, which is not putting out good quality fights, setting up the best fights, because boxing, you know how it is. Like, the best fighters in the world will duck each other. It's not like the UFC where they'll fight the best guy out there right away. So, like, that's the thing I don't really understand about it. And speaking of UFC, because boxing just frustrates me so much. I mean, I could get into that all day long. Alex Pereira. He's a new UFC light heavyweight champion in the world. This guy has ridiculous power. Like, the guy literally didn't even fully swing. He was literally like halfway and he just moved his left hand. I'm like, he just moved his left hand up and knocked Yuri Prohaska out. I'm like, holy cow, man. Holy cow. Like, this guy, he's got some special power. I mean, Alex Pereira is becoming one of my favorite UFC fighters to watch. He's so darn entertaining. I mean, every time you watch this guy, he knocks somebody out. He does something spectacular. Like his fights, when you watch Alex Pereira fight, you're going to get a big bang for your buck. It's going to be worth the money to pay for it. That is the only guy in combat sports right now that I would pay to see is Alex Pereira. And you know what's crazy? I saw Ryan Clark and Daniel Cormier talking about this on their show. They said that Alex Pereira calling out Israel Adesanya was a bad move. Personally, I don't think it is because it's going to make Pereira more money and he's only lost to him once. So what else can he lose? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just going to it's a money fight. Like he knows that. He knows it's going to make him money. So, I mean, that's why he's calling him out. But former UFC light heavyweight champion Jamal Hill, he wants to fight Alex Pereira when he comes back. Now he's coming off, he's still rehabbing from a torn Achilles, which is going to take him a minute to rehab from and get back. But when he comes back, I would really love to see that fight as well. And then also, we'll talk about this last fight, Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. I think, in my opinion, I think Colby Covington has a chance to win this fight because I think Leon Edwards is overlooking him a little bit. He's already talking about fighting the winner of Sean Strickland and Duplessis. So I don't know where Leon's head is at. It's clearly not on Colby Covington. I think Colby Covington, he doesn't have the power to knock him out, but I think, he's got the chin, he's got the cardio. So I think he can give him a hard time. He's got the wrestling as well. I think Colby Covington can win that fight, but I'm going to take Leon. But Leon's got to be careful, man. He's got to be careful. Like, he can't be overlooking opponents. And I feel like that's what happened when Usman fought Leon for the first time. Or not the first time. It was the second time. For the first time in a while when Usman was champ. And I feel like Usman overlooked him and he kind of just, he caught him. But that's a knockout that, like, you can't really, like, sit there and be like, oh, like, he just got screwed over with that. Like, I mean, Usman just got caught at the right time, at the right place. Like, I mean, he just got caught. I mean, that happens in the sport. So, yeah, Leon Edwards, Colby Covington. I'm going to take Leon Edwards, but Colby Covington's going to be ready to fight. He's going to be ready to fight. He hasn't fought in, like, a while. He hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. So I think he's going to really be bringing it. And then the last sport of the day, we're going to talk about how the Chicago Cubs hired Craig Counsell, making him the highest paid manager in the MLB right now. We're paying him $8 million a year. Now, he's made the playoffs 5 of the last 9 years with the Brewers. So, I mean, I'm assuming he's going to come in and bring that playoff success. But, yeah, if the Cubs can't keep Cody Bellinger, a guy who batted .307 last year, which was 7th in the majors, I don't know. I mean, our chances to win a World Series, the Cubs' chances, I always say are and we. Like, I was on the radio today and someone was like, hey, you said we when you were talking about the Miami Heat, which I probably did earlier in this episode, but I'm really trying to get away with that. But, yeah, I mean, I think Bellinger, we need to re-sign him for like a 4-year, $165 million deal. And I just said we again, and I was just talking about it. The Cubs need to re-sign him. If we don't keep him, I just said it again. If the Cubs don't keep him, then, I mean, we're just kind of doing ourselves dirty there. Now, I am really glad that the Cubs fired David Ross. I mean, he was 262 and 284 as a manager. That's not a good record. And he was not smart with the bullpen at times. He didn't really know how to manage it. Now, I give him credit. I mean, this year was the first time he really had a good team, which, to be honest, I thought that they were going to keep him because he's Cubs royalty. He was a part of the World Series team in 2016. But at the same time, I wanted them to fire him because he just wasn't a good manager. And we got Craig Counsell. I mean, I'll take that. That's not a bad slide at all. I mean, I'll take that. Like, that's definitely an upgrade for sure. And the Cubs play the Rangers opening night in Texas. I am looking forward to that game so freaking much. Like, I'm so excited for Cubs Nation to just go nuts, for us to prove to the world that we can win a World Series this year, man. We have the team. I said it last year. We have the talent. We have the talent. We got some young guys coming up from our AAAs. We got good pitching coming in. I think we can do this. And we got a good manager. I think we can do this. We can. And I'm saying we again. But yeah, so this is another episode of the Take Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A little bit different from my other episodes. Usually I decide to do one sport for an episode, but I decided to put 4 sports into one episode. So let me know what you guys think on this episode. I'm also going to be dropping a podcast Wednesday, so the day before Thanksgiving. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Actually, it might be coming out Tuesday night, so the day before Wednesday. So make sure to keep an eye on for that. But I'm Jackson Burleson, of course. I'm your host of the Take Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in this episode. Peace out.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Red wave paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my heart up on ice.